The Mackay-Carter Gate Bridge. When Atlantis' ZPM was lost due to unforeseeable circumstances, the Mackay-Carter Intergalactic Gate Bridge was constructed by those it was named after. Before the Gate Bridge, those wishing to travel through the void would have to wait up to a month for the Daedalus to arrive from the opposite galaxy, and then another month flying across the vast emptiness. Instead of two gates, one in Pegasus and one in the Milky Way, creating a single wormhole connection through the void, the Gate Bridge used 34 gates, 17 from each galaxy, to form a string of separate wormholes that would allow for a much needed connection between Atlantis and Earth. Each gate in the bridge is most likely powered by a Space Gate power module, harvested when the SGC and Atlantis expedition were collecting unused gates. A traveller wanting to visit home would simply dial a newly created gate address made specifically for the Gate Bridge. You would then wait for the dial out to finish and step into the event horizon. You would be transferred to the gate's buffer and then sent to the receiving gate. This is where the Gate Bridge differs from a regular gate trip. Dr. Mackay created a macro that instructs the gate to store the received buffer data instead of sending it out of the event horizon. The dialing gate then shuts down, and the receiving gate uses the macro to dial the next gate. Your molecules are then sent to the next gate, and the next, and so on, until 17 gates later you are at the Midway station. This is situated in the middle of the void between our two galaxies, allowing travellers to stop for 24-hour quarantine before entering the next set of gates. A similar macro to the Pegasus gates is dialed on Midway, and once again, you enter the event horizon. Each gate dials the next until you reach the SGC Stargate. Once there, you are not immediately ejected from the buffer, as the macro is telling the gate to wait for a specific signal which will be sent to the gate once the iris has been opened. Upon the gate receiving the iris open signal, it ejects you through the event horizon, completing your journey across the void in as little as 30 minutes. The macro is the most important part of the Gate Bridge. Without it, the Gate Bridge would take much longer and require more resources, as each of the 34 gates would need a pressurised station, exit the gate and dial the next gate manually. The macro does this all for you, as well as keeping the data crystal pattern intact while a new outgoing wormhole is being formed. As well as this, the macro will not allow two travellers to use the same 17 gates at a time, as if they were to meet in the middle going both ways, the gates would be stuck and their crystal patterns would fizzle out after 3 days. The Wraith managed to intercept a Gate Bridge connection one stop before the gates left Pegasus, allowing them to replicate the macro and gain access to the station, and later the SGC. This eventually led to the Midway station being destroyed after the self-destruct sequence was accidentally initiated. Common misconception about the Gate Bridge is that it creates a single wormhole through the 17 gates, stopping at Midway and then continuing to the destination gate. But this can't be how it works. If it worked this way, then travel time would not be 30 minutes, it would be closer to 1 minute altogether, with each wormhole only taking a few seconds at most. When travelling to Atlantis using a single wormhole through the void, it only takes around 10 seconds. This proves that the macro creates multiple wormholes between each gate, forwarding the traveller through each one like a pit stop. Another commonly brought up topic is why they never used an iris on Midway. The simple answer is that when you think about it, it doesn't actually work. Using the Earth iris as an example, when the Wraith stun bomb was sent down the bridge, Walter got the GDO signal via the macro, so he opened the iris. This is good in practice, but if the base was under attack and everyone was unconscious, which is exactly what happens in the episode Midway, then if someone else dialed Earth through the bridge and the iris was closed, they would not be ejected from the buffer until the iris was open. They would essentially sit inside the buffer until the 38-minute window hit and they would be lost inside the crystal pattern. If a Wraith came through to the SGC and closed the iris behind him, then Teal'c and Ronan would not be able to get to the SGC and would essentially be trapped inside the gate buffer. Mackay definitely thought of this when facing the Earth iris, so the macro would most likely be integrated into the iris mechanism, so that when the Stargate was about to shut down, under any circumstance, the macro would detect this and automatically open the Earth iris, allowing the travellers to safely arrive at the destination. This has to have been a feature on the Gate Bridge, as it is a huge safety problem otherwise, as every gate traveller would be putting their entire existence on the promise that someone on the other end can open the iris. On top of this, Atlantis could not maintain regular communication with Earth without a ZPM, So anytime they dialed Earth through the bridge, they had no idea what the SGC was like on the other side. If it was abandoned or was under siege, you would need the macro backup iris unlock, in case no one was there to unlock it for you.
Colonel Neil, what the hell are you doing? In the middle of my backswing?